Hello and welcome to Efficient Strategy Gaming. Today I'd like to talk to you guys about what I feel is the best tank division for Hearts of Iron 4 multiplayer. And this is post No Step Back DLC, so a lot of the game mechanics have changed here. So we'll go over a few of those. I believe that organization is now a stat that is way more important than it used to be. Combat width is not as important. Combat width being over combat width in a certain region has been nerfed from 2 to 1.5, and the different terrain types are now different combat widths, with forest being 42, plains and desert being 45, and I believe hills are 40. And I forget, but cities are even higher combat width than that. So combat width, not as important. Just getting a combat width that's kind of in the general ballpark of all those widths that I just described to you is good enough. And I think that 43 fits into those numbers best. And what we're going to do with this 43 combat width tank division template is to target deserts and plains and then encircle the forest hills areas and then attack those after their low supply. So that's kind of the strategy around using this template. A few things about this template. No longer is the lower combat width going to be to work as well, and that's because the organization of the lower combat width template is going to be less. As you can see, this is not even a heavy tank template, it's a mech template. The piercing is also going to be much less. I added a support anti-tank regiment to this template, this 10 combat width template, and yeah, the stats are just not as good, and it's going to be harder to add heavy tank destroyers to this template because now the combat width of heavy tank destroyers are 3. And if you didn't know, tank destroyer regiments or piercing in general is modified, is weighted heavier to the regiment, the individual regiment in your template with the highest piercing. So having one tank destroyer regiment in your template is very important to buff piercing. See, if I take this out, the piercing goes all the way down to 74. So for that reason, because of the organization and because of the change of having a heavy tank destroyer be now 3 combat width, I think that the larger division templates are even more important than they were in previous versions of the game. So we've got 11 heavy tank regiments in this template, as well as 9 mech and 1 heavy tank destroyer. Now, I posted a video about building tanks and tank destroyers. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. Let's deep dive into this template a little bit more. So a stat that is going to be more important for No Step Back is reconnaissance. And I have light armored recon companies here that gives us a reconnaissance of 2. Now, why is that? Well, your officer corps is able to choose a preferred tactic, and also your generals are able to choose a preferred tactic if their level is 5 or greater. So how does this tie into reconnaissance? Well, essentially, the general with the higher reconnaissance or initiative trait is going to be able to choose their preferred tactic or their tactic second, and that could potentially counter their opponent's tactic. So reconnaissance should even be more heavily weighted now in No Step Back. That is yet to be seen. I have not done any deep dive testing on that topic, but I would assume that that is the case. So that is why we use light armored recon companies. Engineer companies should just be standard because their stats are great. Logistics company is a no-brainer. You're no longer going to be able to field as many tank divisions on the front line because low supply has been also tied with greater combat penalties in No Step Back. So low supply has been nerfed. You'll not be able to attack as well or defend as well if your divisions in the front line have low supply. So logistics companies are a must. We have maintenance companies in order to keep the reliability high, because the reliability is now tied with organization gain. So you're going to want to have high reliability and high organization in your division templates. And then we also have the Light Flame Tank Company, which is going to give you various bonuses to attacking forts. As you can see, I get a 50% bonus to attacking forts. And this is mainly because of that Light Flame Company. You can see that it's weighted at almost a 25% to attack in forts. It comes with a lot of other different stats as well. And what I found in my tank designer video was that you want to make the light flame tanks with light tank chassis. There's no bonus to any of the stats to putting the flamethrower on the medium tank chassis or the heavy tank chassis. It's mainly better just to get the Light Flame Tank Company in your division template and take all the bonus to the stats. And this also, the production cost is lower with the light tank chassis. Now you get the Light Flame Tank Companies by researching Engineer 2. So this almost certainly should be like a hard research to get this pretty early because it's going to increase soft attack quite a bit. So I think that this is now the meta. Everyone's going to be adding Light Flame Tank Companies to their heavy tank division template. Other features of this template, if you were to do a medium template, you would see that the estimated cost of the template would not be much different. Also, the fuel usage would not be much different as well. So even though the speed of a medium tank template would be higher, you're not getting any improvements in terms of supply or production cost, because although the medium tanks cost less to produce, there are going to be much more medium tanks in a 43 width template than this heavy tank template. So actually the supply and production costs are almost equivalent. So that's why heavy tanks are still the meta. They provide higher soft attack with equivalent supply usage and production cost. So that's going to be it. This is what I'm going with now in my multiplayer games. 43 combat with heavy tank division with mechanized in it. The hardness is going to turn on your blitz and breakthrough tactics, and just going to be overall better. It's no longer going to be just spamming out as many heavy tank divisions as you can. You're going to have to balance your tank production with cast production, and as well as production of rail guns and other things like that. It's a combined arms meta. You're not going to have like 300 mils on heavy tank. You're probably going to you're going to want to be lower by barb, more around like 70 to 90 mils on heavy tank, because mils have also been buffed by 5%. So that's going to end this video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, and I'll see you on the next one.